The Tour de France in July has always personified the sun, blue skies, holiday fun, and a real occasion to be part of. Well, forget it. After wind, rain and freezing temperatures, today we have snow. The survivors of this tour, and that's what they are, have today been spared the highest mountains in the race after snow covered the cols de l'Iseran and Galibier during the night. This extraordinary event, which has seen Miguel Indurain falter and a Russian lead for the first time, has been forced today to start on the other side of the two giants at the town of Monetier-Les-Bains. The riders did sign in as planned at Val d'Isère, but then they were transported by bus to the new start town. The amended route, now reduced to just 46 kilometres from the scheduled 189, is still a tough one. It climbs the second category Col de Montgenèvre, and this leads the final mountain to Sestrieres, which takes them to 2,035 metres. And here at Sestrieres, Italy, for the altitude finish, it is bitterly cold, although at the moment we have no snow. The temperatures, though, with the wind chill factor, probably around 0 degrees Celsius. So what a miserable day for Evgeny Berzin to have to defend his leader's yellow jersey. He's 43 seconds ahead of Bjarne Riis, 45 in front of Abraham Olano. But in the top 6 now, there are some interesting new names. Looking further down, Miguel Indurain is 11th and looking to find 4 minutes and 53 seconds, while the two British riders, Chris Boorman is 39th and Maximilian Chiandri is 72nd. The last rider in the race, more than 1.5 hours behind, is the Frenchman, Thierry Marie. And at the start in Le Monetier this morning, it was back to basics for the top stars of world cycling as they made ready for the chilly outdoors by changing in the local football club. And I'm sure you'll understand if I tell you we're going to have some serious problems bringing you the pictures today, but the helicopters are trapped on the other side of the Galibier and the Iseran, and so everybody working hard to try and make sure this Tour de France goes on today and the stage is seen by all. And we're looking now at a very compact chasing group, and the man who has fled them, Bjarne Riis of Denmark. Here he is. We're on the climb of Montgenèvre, and Riis attacks soon after the start of it. He has had a very definite plan today with the big mountains behind him. The Danish champion has decided to make this a very, very tough 46 kilometres. Luc Leblanc countering the move.
A reaction straight away from Luc Leblanc trying to get across him, and this is what can happen on the very short stages. Riders will have a go. They're not scared of blowing up. They're not scared of running out of energy. And Evgeny Berzin has to respond to all of these attacks. And now he's alone with no teammates.
Well, Berzin, you know, we're all grateful and happy in the fact that a Russian rider at last is leading in the Tour de France, but the riders are saying he won't last and they're going to attack him. Richard Virenque, a rider we felt today would do a ride anyway in the high mountains. As the king of the mountains these past 2 years, that's him now, the leader of that competition. He is trying to catch on to the back wheel of Luc Leblanc. Now, the climb up to Sestrieres is a long one, and it is quite steep. It takes them up to over 2,000 metres, and this really could be a tremendous sort out today in just 46 kilometres. And so, with 3 riders heading over the top of Montgenèvre in this order, Riis has gone over 19 seconds ahead of Luc Leblanc. Richard Virenque is in 3rd place. Berzin and the rest of the leaders of this year's Tour de France approximately half a minute behind. We'll take a break.
The Tour has made 2 previous trips to Sestrieres. Fausto Coppi won the first in 1952. 40 years later, it was another Italian. We'll tell you who after the break. When Fausto Coppi won at Sestrieres in 1952, he got a kiss and a bottle of Coke. 40 years later, Coke virtually owned the road and sponsored the King of the Mountains jersey worn by Claudio Chiappucci, as he made it 2 Italian wins and as many visits to Sestrieres.
Well, the Italians would probably be on a hat-trick today if Marco Pantani were here, but unfortunately cycling's best climber is still out, recovering from a broken leg that he suffered in a collision with a car in last year's Milan-Turin race. He did make an appearance in the Tour of Italy, though, on the opening titles for the daily television coverage, which he wrote, and in possibly not the best advised career move he's ever made, performed. An Italian rap coming to a discount bin near you soon, and after 23 days of that, you can imagine the mute buttons being hit on remote controls all over Italy on a daily basis. With a bit of luck, Marco will be back at his day job in next year's Tour In the meantime, though, let's go back to today's stage with Phil.
Well, thanks, Gary. We're now with the group here being led by the yellow jersey of Evgeny Berzin. They've started the final climb of the day to Sestrieres, and they're now in hot pursuit of Bjarne Riis of Denmark. Evgeny Berzin should look concerned, as he most certainly does, because Bjarne Riis is still out in front.
Well, he does have a little bit of luck here as we're still getting that picture breakup. He's been joined on the descent by one of his teammates, Francesco Frattini, who is helping to pace him on the slopes of Sestrieres here at the moment. But the last time check, Bjarne Riis was 34 seconds in the lead.
And Bjarne Riis, this man, this very intelligent man, who has for the last 2 years been the champion of Denmark, really feels he can win the Tour de France. There's the world champion, Alana, in second place. And as far as we know, the riders who went over the top of Monetier-Les-Bains, Leblanc, Virenque, have been brought back into the fold. And there's Leblanc there, so that proves that.
All the main contenders that we saw at the top of the time trial yesterday are in the front group at the moment. Luttenberger there, you can just see at the back in the Carrera jersey. They were all, I think, taken a little bit by surprise by that savage attack of Bjarne Riis, which actually came after 4 tries to try and get clear. He decided today was the day he wanted to do it. And this is the way that he's going to have to try over the next few days in the Tour de France.
And there's the face of Miguel Indurain, not quite the painful one that we saw on the climb to Les Arcs, looking more like the settled Big Mig that we've always come to see in the Tour de France. He's riding behind Laurent Dufaux there in the blue Festina jersey. And there's the gap, 40 seconds. Well, give him 4 more and he will be the new race leader of the Tour de France. Bjarne Riis is throwing the gauntlet down here. There's still more days to come, of course, in the Alps. This isn't the end of it by any means. Montenegro, we came over today, by the way, was a second category climb. We go back the other way tomorrow, and it's a first category climb.
It's a very tough climb from this side. It's a lot longer, and bear in mind the riders have to start from Turin before they get here to Montenegro. But Bjarne Riis is in a great rhythm at the moment. 1 or 2 people may wonder what he's got over his knees, but what these riders do in the very cold weather conditions is wear kind of a woolen knee pad just to make sure they don't get any tendon problems around there.
And look at this, Alano has decided to give Berzin a hand. He's accelerated. I wouldn't say he's given a handball, I say he's accelerated. No, he hasn't. I thought he'd actually jumped away from Berzin after he felt he was cooked on the climb. But in fact, Berzin has recovered. Jan Ulrich right behind there. Udo Bolts, the teammate of Ulrich. The 2 boys in pink, lying 3rd and 4th. And I can't quite pick out the riders. Richard Virenque, who's in 3rd place now. Tony Rominger in the blue jersey coming up. We have a very small group here. The bunch of 157 has been left all over Montenegro.
And as we look here at Bjarne Riis, it's interesting to note that we have this year 4 or 5 challengers to take the overall lead in the Tour de France, but not one of them has ever been in this situation as Miguel Indurain has over the last 5 years, when he has come to a situation where he's had to do all the work and support the way to the race himself. And that is when it's going to prove the difference between winning the Tour de France and defending the title.
45 seconds is held on the board, so this chase group now knows, Berzin in particular, that yellow jersey is now out on loan to Bjarne Riis. And a little welcome banner for Bjarne there. 5 kilometres to go, 3 miles for the Danish champion, who's pedalling himself into the yellow jersey of the Tour de France today. This has been a superb Tour de France racing-wise. On a stage as short as this, they have really turned on the style today. They've blown the 157 riders all over the Alps, and it's only been in a matter of 40 kilometres that they've done that in. There is now the world champion on the road, won his title in Colombia last year, Abraham Olano, gone up now to give Evgeny Berzin a hand, because he too is slipping down the overall classification. Who would have thought, though, in the month of July these men will be wearing gloves like this?
Nobody would. This has been a very strange climatic conditions on the Tour de France this year. It's cold. I don't think I've ever known the cold like this come over the Tour de France, and a lot of riders will be caught out because they will have been prepared for hot weather. They will be very thin. They will be well below 10% in body fat.
Under the 5 kilometre banner for the chase group, and Olano on the front looking across to Berzin. He's prepared to do a little bit of the front, but not too much, it seems. So I think he wants Berzin to come back and give him a hand. Also behind Berzin is Tony Rominger. Rominger is a man we should watch out for here, because he may well try to springboard to the finish and grab a few seconds before the line. Well, whatever you can think about Evgeny Berzin, he's not afraid to chase. He's worked very hard to try and limit his losses today. He's probably cursing himself too, because he was with Riis at the first attack, and then when they regrouped, he didn't go with Riis at the second attack.
Riis is extremely strong here. He really is putting the pressure on. concentrated as he was in the time trial yesterday. Whenever he needs to and he feels a slowing in the rhythm, he gets out of the saddle to pull on the bars and then just get a little bit more power into that pedaling stroke of his.
And using the road well, going from apex to apex on the corners, the shortest route to the top at Sestrieres. He's under the 4-kilometre banner now.
Well, in fact, as he goes under the 4-kilometre banner, the last time check is he's stretching out his lead. It's now 48 seconds on the road, so he's riding away from Evgeny Berzin, who is getting a little bit of help from the other two riders there, Fernando Gines and also Abraham Olano.
Well, it's absolutely phenomenal. As a man, when all of the people are totally committed, he can actually nudge his lead up to 1 minute. Bjarne Riis can just see peeping up through the mountains there, the tops of the houses at Sestrieres. Here comes the yellow jersey, and keeping the speed up as best he can. Johan Bruneel is the rider off to the left of our picture. The rider who plunged almost deep down into the ravine on the first day in the Alps. Doesn't seem to have affected him at all mentally. He's riding absolutely superbly in this year's race. An attack by Luttenberger. This man who's come to his first Tour de France. Luttenberger goes under 4 kilometres to go. The gap is 52 seconds now. So the gap is opening all of the time. Luttenberger has livened it all up, and he's put the Spanish champion Fernando Gines in trouble.
Well, everybody was expecting attack to come, and Luttenberger is the best climber in the Tour de France this year, with the fact that Marco Pantani is not here. Luc Leblanc has decided to go now. They've waited for Evgeny Berzin to tire himself out.
Well, it's a paltry rider, Paul. I'm not sure it's Luc Leblanc unless he's taken his trousers off in the last few minutes. But I think it's more like Guiarini, and there he is. Giuseppe Guiarini, who rode very well in the mountains the other day. And now he's digging deep to try and slip away here. Remember, an Italian is bound to do well in Italy because they want the hometown support. But Luttenberger is bringing them back.
Well, in fact, you know, Evgeny Berzin offered a lot of efforts to try and pull back. He pulled back Luttenberger. In fact, as we speak, he's going off the back of this group now.
So the bunch again has put them in trouble, and Luttenberger is going once again, this little magic climber from Austria, riding his first Tour de France. And you know, as Paul Sherman said to me earlier today, what a team Carrera would have had if they'd have had their little magic man Marco Pantani here to ride alongside Peter Luttenberger this year. And that'll be a pleasure we'll look forward to next year.
For confirmation at 3.5 kilometres to the finish. In fact, Evgeny Berzin has been dropped by this group, and the speed that these climbers are going up here, I don't think he'll be able to come back. He will resist and try not to lose too much time, but he's in serious difficulty.
Well, this is an amazing Tour de France, but it looks as though we're certain now to have yet another new leader in the Tour. And it might well be that Evgeny Berzin may not find himself in the top 5 places overall by the time we get up to the top. This stage, just 46 kilometres long. The counter-attacks by Luttenberger has brought the lead of Riis down to 40 seconds. But of course, it could now mean, with Berzin being dropped, he's still the yellow jersey tonight.
Well, this is an incredible sight to see the speed that this man goes up hills. He reminds me very much of Marco Pantani. The style is very similar. The speed when he goes uphill. Richard Virenque as well, I think, will be looking to attack also a little bit later on. Information coming now that the yellow jersey was 55 seconds behind Bjarne Riis. So Riis at the moment still the leader on the road.
So Bjarne Riis is up and round the corner there in the green fields. And Miguel Indurain is hanging on to the tail of that forward leading group here. And in fact, he's moving to the left, and is Big Mig going to launch an attack, or is he just changing position? Is he warming up for a sprint to remind everybody he's still in? I think he is. Miguel Indurain is going. Indurain attacks now. What a great race we're watching.
And as Indurain attacks, Tony Rominger was going to the back of that group there and looked in a little bit of difficulty. Indurain has been looking. He remembers this climb for a few years ago. He had a hard time when Claudio Chiappucci won. But Miguel Indurain, Phil, is far from finished.
Well, I am wondering, Paul, perhaps you should always have 46-kilometre stages because the riders go so quickly. Indurain now, everybody launching their effort at the front of this group. It's as if there's now no real leader of this Tour de France. They all believe they're on the same level of fitness and that any one of them in the next few days could be the new leader. At the moment, it's Bjarne Riis who leads the Tour. Indurain himself trying to fight his way back into this race. There he is. He feels better every day. Saturday, Black Saturday for Big Mig, will soon be only a memory.
Well, that was a superb move. He waited and watched as the climbers attacked, as he always has done in the past, you know, and then he went to make his move. The killer move we saw him make last year on several of the top mountain stages. We're still here at the front with Bjarne Riis. He has about 35 seconds with 2 kilometres to go.
So another banner passes by, 2 kilometres it is for Bjarne Riis. He will not know of the drama again behind him today as rider after rider gives all, then falls back into that line. The yellow jersey we've lost sight of. He's certainly not in this group at all now, which still contains the wonder boy Jan Ulrich and his teammate Udo Bolts, and it is Indurain setting the pace.
Well, Tony Rominger did recover there. He went straight to the back of that group as Miguel Indurain accelerated, and then he managed to recover. And there you can see on the left-hand side in the blue jersey of the Mapei GB squad, Rominger, the man from Switzerland, has used all his experience to come back into this group.
And under the 2 kilometres banner, 36 seconds is the time gap now, so they're bringing Bjarne Riis steadily back into the fold. It may not be fast enough, though. Indurain in the lead, Rominger off to his right, tucked away at the back we've got Guirini in yellow, Virenque is in the polka dot, and further up the slopes we have Bjarne Riis going through the crowd line now. They're in amongst the barriers, they know the finish is not far away.
Riis really has to keep chasing and forcing himself if he wants to go, and now this is going to be Leblanc. In fact, Leblanc has taken off those long leg warmers he had during the valley, and this is Leblanc trying to go through you.
Well, goodness knows how he got them off with the pressure being the way it is right now, but Luc Leblanc, this is a very typical attack by Leblanc in the last couple of kilometres of a steep climb. He goes very, very well at such an occasion.
This is the difference between the style of Miguel Indurain and the pure climbers. You know what Indurain can do is just keep up a speed and accelerate slowly.
And so, as we come up towards the summit, Bjarne Riis is still up the road, but Luc Leblanc is trying desperately to scrabble up to him. He's the only man to get a lead over the field at the moment, churning that big gear which we've become accustomed to see on Luc Leblanc. Remember his great climb up to Les Arcs where he was the winner. He's steadily gone up the overall classification. He would have probably been racing for the yellow today, but for the 2 rather heavy falls he had. Heading up towards the kite, coming up to the last kilometre, Bjarne Riis is beginning to sell out. The stage may be his. We'll have to wait for the time to see if the yellow is as well.
But what's more important to Bjarne Riis is to keep going, to keep the pressure on, because he needs to finish 43 seconds ahead of Evgeny Berzin to try and get the yellow jersey as well. But he doesn't look to me as if he's going to weaken. He's had a chance to look over his shoulders and see just how far behind the rest of the field are.
And let's not forget either, Paul, that Abraham Olano is only 45 seconds behind the leader. So it's going to be a tough old tussle, this one. There's Luc Leblanc. He's heading up to the kilometre banner now. And he's closing in. The gap between Leblanc and Bjarne Riis at 1 kilometre to go is 30 seconds precisely. Looking down to the group, they're going to be at 36 seconds.
Still, it's Miguel Indurain who's setting the pace. He's riding the climbs the way he knows how to. He's riding at his own tempo, waiting for the climbers to attack. He does not try to match their acceleration, but brings his own speed up slowly.
Miguel Indurain, well, if he wants to win this Tour de France, he must attack now. He can't defend any longer because he's lost too much time. He's in a very, very unusual position in a Tour de France, but he is certainly by no means riding like a man who intends to give up. He is going to stay there. Escartine and Udo Bolts hanging on for the life of a kilometre to go. Jan Ulrich has also given best there. The first time we've seen the young German in trouble. Bjarne Riis is going to win the stage, which he richly deserves. He attacked right out halfway up the climb of Mont Genève. There's a massive Danish audience also here at the summit. And of course, he's live on television back home in Copenhagen. He is a superstar. Bjarne Riis is going to hit the line. I think yellow will await him. The clock will tell us that very, very shortly. That mouth couldn't be much wider. It's as wide as the tunnel of Fréjus where we all came through yesterday. Coming up to the line now, Bjarne Riis is going to zip up and salute the crowd. The stage is certainly going to be his, but will the yellow jersey follow? The riders are closing in on him all of the time. We're likely to see the little legs of Luc Leblanc in the top of our picture very shortly, but for now, we'll settle to Bjarne Riis, the winner of the stage. 46 kilometres today. It's done an awful lot of damage. Here comes Leblanc being chased by Richard Virenque. Guirini. No, Leblanc on the left, and now we've got Richard Virenque. Indurain tagged onto the back of him. The shadow is Tony Rominger, but Leblanc will cross the line. He will be 24 seconds down. Then Virenque Miguel Indurain beaten by Tony Rominger in the sprint to the line, and then comes Udo Bolts, in fact. Jan Ulrich has hit the wall a little bit, so it'll be Udo Bolts followed by Frédéric Escatin, and then Jan Ulrich, and then Peter Luttenberger. The clocks are counting down. Where is Evgeny Berzin? The new leader of the Tour de France will be Bjarne Riis as the Maillot Jaune comes up to the finish. He must go down in record of having held it for the shortest distance. The Maillot Jaune comes in over 1 minute behind today. What an extraordinary stage, but we're coming to expect these types of stages now in this year's Tour de France. There'll be more to come of that, I am sure. The clock counts down. Evgeny Berzin is out of the leader's yellow jersey, and in fact he will slip away a little bit in the overall classification, but he'll be back, believe me. And coming up to the line, Britain's Chris Boardman, who's done quite a ride today. He's getting himself back into the feel of the Tour de France as well. Well, what a day, and let's begin with the stage result. Bjarne Riis taking the stage ahead of the two Frenchmen, Luc Leblanc and Richard Virenque. Then comes Tony Rominger, who just nipped past Miguel Indurain, and Evgeny Berzin, the yellow jersey this morning. He finished in the end only 14th, paying dearly for his efforts. But an encouraging finish for Chris Boardman. He was just 2 minutes and 7 seconds behind. And 4 years on from his great victory here at Sestrieres, Claudio Chiappucci comes home to cheers from the crowd with 4.5 minutes behind. While Laurent Jalabert, well, he lost a further 8 minutes and 41 seconds, bringing his total to 3 days in the Alps to an enormous 27 minutes lost. And another safe ride too for the British rider Max Chiandri. He finished just 11 minutes down. Well, getting an interview with a new leader almost daily in the Tour de France is becoming something of a challenge, but Paul Sherwin did his best.
That was one of the shortest mountain stages of the Tour de France, but it made you very happy.
Yeah, it was one of the best of me.
You seem very confident the last couple of days. As if you feel as if you can win the Tour now.
Well, it's still a long way, I hope, but so far so good.
And Bjarne Riis now leads the Tour de France over Evgeny Berzin by 40 seconds. Tony Rominger comes up from 4th to 3rd, and Miguel Indurain continues to creep back into this race. He's now back up from 11th this morning to 8th. Chris Boardman also continues in the ascendancy. On the podium tonight, the 5th leader of the Tour de France, Bjarne Riis. Who will it be tomorrow? And you can find that out in our programme tomorrow night at 6:25. The race tomorrow continuing through the Alps. It comes away from Turin in Italy and goes across to Gap in France. Well, an awful lot of people made this race happen today when the blizzards hit the Tour overnight, and our thanks to all of them. And I guess the most grateful man of the lot is Bjarne Riis. Until tomorrow, goodbye.